Hello, my name is Fox and you're watching Den of Fools. Let's jump right in. In week 21 of 2024 we had 160 tournaments with a total of 3,102 players and 11,590 games played. We have a very similar number of tournaments and players this week, with a few less games played. This week the Space Marines regained their spot at the top, with 27 wins and 79 top 3 placings. Their weighted place is 21, which is a fair bit better than the 26 they got last time. Their slightly improved weighted placing explains why they've managed to retake first from the Orcs. Speaking of which, the Orcs are in second, with another impressive week. They get 20 wins, 49 top 3s and a weighted place of 13.3, which is very similar to last time, albeit with 5 less wins. It looks like the Orcs will remain at the top for the foreseeable future, based on the first 2 weeks of their new codex. The Necrons come next with 18 wins, 44 top 3s and a weighted place of 12.6, which is the second best overall. This is a stark return to form from the 3 wins and weighted place of 79.3 they got last week. I did suggest in the previous video that it was a one-off, which seems to be the case. The Tyranids come next with 11 wins, 33 top 3s and a weighted place of 14.8, which is a significant improvement on last time. They do seem to be performing better with some good results recently. The Tower and Death Guard come next, both getting 10 wins and 26 and 24 top 3s respectively. The Tower see an increase in their weighted place with 19.5, whereas the Death Guard see an improvement with 13.1, which is the third best overall. The Tower seemingly leveling off a little bit, with the second week of data with their new codex, while the Death Guard are showing some good form since the last update in terms of winning tournaments. This is emphasised by the fact they got the joint second most wins at the larger tournaments this week. Chaos Space Marines have a good week with 8 wins, 27 top 3s and a weighted place of 19.8. We will have to wait another week before we get the initial results with their new codex. Guard also get 8 wins, with a few less top 3s and a weighted place of 22.3. The Thousand Sons are the last faction in blue, with 7 wins, 16 top 3s and a weighted place of 17.6. The Imperial Knights top the green group with 6 wins, 15 top 3s and a weighted place of 16.2. This is a significant improvement on the 46 they got last week. The Drukhari come next, also getting 6 wins with 12 top 3s and the best weighted place with 9.8. That's 2 weeks in a row where they have the best weighted placing, with the same 9.8 in both weeks. The Grey Knights get a very similar result to the previous week, with 5 wins, 24 top 3s and a weighted place of 27.8. The Sisters are also on 5 wins, with 4 less top 3s, but a better weighted placing of 21.6. The Eldari are the last faction in green, also getting 5 wins with 17 top 3s and the same weighted placings of the Grey Knights with 27.8. The Legions of Votan and Chaos Knights top the yellow group, both getting 3 wins and a weighted place of 28.3 and 27 respectively. World Eaters, Demons and Admech all get 2 wins, with the World Eaters and Demons getting very high weighted placings. The Admech get a decent weighted placing of 17.5, mainly because they only have a small player base. The Custodians are unable to replicate their good performance last week. They only get a single win, which gives them a very high weighted place of 93. The Gene Stealers are the only faction in red, and unfortunately miss out on a win. 22 factions manage at least one top 10 placing, with the Space Marines getting the most top 10s with 256. The Orcs remain in second with 146 top 10 placings, with Necrons in third on 115 top 10 placings. This is the third week in a row these factions have managed to get the most top 10s in this order. Unsurprisingly, the Space Marines are the most played faction with 18.25% of all players taking them. The Orcs are still the second most popular on 8.58%. Necrons are firmly in third on 7.32%. It takes our resident stats guru and Ultramarine fanboy Fearless Fox many hours to collect all the data. It would be great if you could show your appreciation by liking and sharing the video. It really helps us with the God algorithm of YouTube. We have grouped the win rates by colour, with the key at the bottom of the screen. This week the Orcs top the charts with an impressive win rate of 56.1%. They make a slight improvement on last week, with their new codex looking very strong indeed on the first 2 weeks of data. The Gene Stealer Cults come next with a win rate of 55.4%, despite not winning any tournaments this week. The Grey Knights are the first faction within the Goldilocks zone, with a win rate of 54.6%. This is a decent improvement on the 51.5% they got last week. The Drukhari come next with a win rate of 52.7%. They're performing rather well at the moment, especially considering they got the best weighted placing 2 weeks in a row. The Necrons get a win rate of 51.6%, which is very similar to the 51.8% they got last time. I would estimate this is their new level after the changes. The Sisters get a win rate of 50.5%, with the Imperial Knights just getting in green with a 50% win rate. The vast majority of the factions are in yellow this week, with the World Eaters top in the group with 49.3%. The Death Guard are close behind on 48.7%, with Demons and Thousand Sons on 48.4%. I am surprised to see the Thousand Sons this low down, considering he got the best win rate last week with 56.6%. Chaos Knights are on 48.3%, with Eldari close behind on 48.2%. Chaos Space Marines and the Votan have a win rate of 47.9%, with the Loyalist Marines on 46.5%. Guard on 46.2%, with Tau on 46.1%. It looks like the Tau Codex isn't doing too great on the win rate, despite performing reasonably well in terms of placings. The Tyranids are the last faction in the Goldilocks zone, with a win rate of 45.5%. We only have 2 factions below the Goldilocks zone this week. The Custodians are on 43.2%, whereas the Admech have a win rate of 42.1%. The game does look relatively well balanced at the moment after the changes, despite a lot of factions being below a 50% win rate. With the first month of data since the balance change, the 4-week rolling win rate and the running total win rate are the same this time around. The Grey Knights remain at the top with a win rate of 54.5%. The Orcs are close behind on 54.1%. Since the new codex release, they have been rapidly climbing up the table. I would estimate that they will take the first spot after another week of data. The Thousand Sons and Sisters come next, both on a win rate of 52.5%. The Genes to the Cults are on 52.3%, with the Drukhari on 52.1%. The Necrons are the last faction in green, with a win rate of 52%. The majority of factions are in yellow, with only 2 factions below the Goldilocks zone. Guard are on a win rate of 44.6%, with Custodians on 44.4%. The game does look relatively well balanced at the moment, with no factions above the zone on the first month of data, and the 2 factions below only missing out by a small margin. Having said that, a lot of factions are at the very edge of the zone, and it is looking like the Orcs will soon be above it. The third most popular chapter, the Space Wolves, is certainly the most consistent chapter since the changes. They again lead the known chapters with a good number of players, with a win rate of 51.9%. It must be noted that the 47 unknown chapters performed very well indeed this week, with a win rate of 58%. The second most popular chapter, the Blood Angels, topped the other group, just missing out on green with a win rate of 49.7%. The Black Templars are the last in a very small Goldilocks zone, with a win rate of 46.8%. The Ultramarines are the first chapter outside the zone with a win rate of 43.8%. The Iron Hands are on 42.6%, with the Salamanders on 42.1%. The Death Watch have a win rate of 41.5%, with the most popular chapter, the Dark Angels, just getting in yellow, with a win rate of 40.6%. The Imperial Fist topped the red group on 37%, with the Raven Guard and White Scars on a win rate of 30.8%. The gap between the chapters is a fair bit larger than previous weeks, with a surprisingly good result for the unknown chapters. The Space Wolves are clearly at the top of the running total win rates after the first month, with 53.5%. The Blood Angels are not too far behind on 51.1%, with the Black Templars just missing out on green on a 49.2% win rate. The Iron Hands are on 46.5%, with the Salamanders just getting in the Goldilocks zone on 45.1%. The White Scars are on 44.4%, with the Death Watch on 44.1%. The Dark Angels have dropped back a bit more with 43%, with Fearless's favourite Blue Boys, the Ultramarines, on a win rate of 42.9%. The Raven Guard have a win rate of 37.7%, with the Imperial Fist winning a third of their games. Although only some of the Divergent chapters are performing very well after the first month, Space Marines are doing a little better than they were pre-data slate on the whole. This will all change when the Chaos Space Marine Codex sees play next week. We intend to report the data in the same way, including the Emperor's Children, despite their new index. This is mainly because it is very small indeed, at only a few pages, and still requires the main Chaos Space Marine rules to function. With that said, these win rates serve as a last indication of what the declared warbands were doing before the Codex starts to see play on the tabletop. If you enjoyed our content, please subscribe, check out one of the videos on screen, and consider using our affiliate links in the description. Thank you for watching.